Welcome to a new episode of Halfway with Hathaway, where it's half the noise, all the sports, done the Hathaway. I'm George Hathaway, and today we'll be talking about my issue with the AP poll this week, Daniel Jones being the best QB right now in the NFL. And lastly, we'll get into Hathaway's hot hands and Hathaway's yays or nays, which is a new segment on who you should start and sit on your fantasy football team for the week. First off, did anybody else see that photo of Jason Tatum holding up a Jets jersey from last week's game? Absolutely sickening. He's from St. Louis, so I'd assume that he's a Rams fan, but you play in Boston, so you have to be a Patriots fan. Use that custom jersey as fuel to a fire or something. Last thing any Bostonian wants to see is the Celtics franchise player holding up a Jets jersey. I mean, come on. Some breaking news out of the NFL. The DC City Council has approved a $3.8 billion renovation of RFK Stadium set for 2030. And that's going to be the Commanders' new home as they are now officially back in DC in about 5 or so years. The Patriots finally win in Miami for the first time since 2019. Drake May had his best game as a Patriot, in my opinion. He went 19 for 23, 230 yards, two touchdowns with a 77.8 QBR. Ramondre Stevenson, he had 142 total yards, and it looks like the offense slowly starting to click, and I love to see it. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-0 after beating Miami and Denver. Daniel Jones, as I like to call him, Indiana Jones, has been playing superb, averaging 292 yards, one touchdown, and 71% completion percentage. I mean, he's been absolutely amazing. It seems like this is a whole new Daniel Jones that we're seeing in Indianapolis. I think the Giants, that system was holding him back, right? And so now he gets to kind of play this new role with Indianapolis with Anthony Richardson. He's not starting right now. So Daniel Jones taking over. I mean, this could be a situation that could work out well for the Colts in the long run if Daniel Jones continues to play at this high level that he's playing at. I like to see it. I mean, he's a really great quarterback, very talented, but like I said, he's just held back from what happened in New York. The Giants just didn't let him play well, and to the ability that we kind of see him now in Indianapolis. So, speaking of the Giants, that game against Dallas was absolutely amazing. Went into overtime, and like typical New York Giants fashion, they blew the game, and the Cowboys won it in overtime. The Eagles and Chiefs, Eagles got a big win, right? Going back to the Super Bowl, the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes start 0-2 for the first time under the Mahomes era. I think it's time to write them off. What do you guys think? Is it time? Because this team does not look complete. This team is not playing well. I know they had some tough games to kind of start out the year, you know, but when you play the reigning Super Bowl champions, that's what you expect. The Eagles played really well, and the Chiefs didn't. And they're 0-2 for a reason. Same with the Houston Texans. They're also 0-2 to start the year. So I just think though with Kansas City, this team just doesn't look complete. They're not hitting on all cylinders. That Mahomes to Kelsey connection just isn't there. So I think it's time that, that dynasty is short-lived. I mean, I can put dynasty in quotes because they weren't as amazing as the New England Patriots were when it comes to dynasties. Yes, they were great, but they're nothing compared to the New England Patriots. So that's why I think, the Chiefs, they'll probably get a few more wins, going into the season, but I think this slow start is going to hurt them in the long run because, in the NFL, it's a short season, 18 weeks. It's gonna be important in these games, especially, and I think in a very competitive AFC West. I think the AFC West is very strong this year. You have the Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, and then the Raiders on the lower part of that. However, they did beat the New England Patriots week 1, so that's why I do think that That AFC West so competitive, you have to win every single game from here on out. That's why it's so important. Joe Burrow is going to be out until December with turf toe. JJ McCarthy out 2 to 4 weeks with an ankle sprain. Seeing a lot of these QBs getting hurt. We didn't see a lot of JJ McCarthy last season. We didn't see him at all last season. And now again to kind of start off the year with an ankle sprain, he'll miss about a month. So it's interesting to see with these quarterbacks, right? The Bengals, they haven't been looking like the Cincinnati Bengals right now. And so that offensive line is absolutely garbage for the Bengals. Joe Burrow, no wonder why, he's getting hurt pretty much what it seems like every single year because of how everything's just kind of unfolding for him with that offensive line, zero protection. But I mean, you have two receivers who you're paying about, $300 million to with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins combined, $300 million dollars. You need to get some extra help on that front line. And the Vikings, I said it last week on last week's episode, the Vikings offense just really isn't that good. And then Aaron Jones, he's on the IR right now for the Vikings as well. He's on my fantasy team. I'm looking to get him traded. He's Aaron Jones just hasn't been producing as well for me. So that's why in terms of my fantasy team, Aaron Jones might be on the outs. He's been on my bench for a while now, so I might be able to get some compensation for him. Clemson, they lose to Georgia Tech 21-24 in a really good game. Georgia, they beat Tennessee 44-41 in overtime. And then the 16 team, Texas A&M, beating number 8 Notre Dame 41-40. Now, this is where things are going to start getting dicey. Here's a top 25 right now for the college football, their AP poll. Number one, Ohio State, Penn State at 2. 3 is LSU. So you have like that top three kind of staying consistent for Miami, who has a big game against Florida this week. I'm actually going to be going on my friend Jay's podcast tomorrow. Him and I, we're going to be talking about the Miami, Florida game with our friend Tom, who's actually going to that game. So, really excited to talk about a big rival game in the Sunshine State of Florida. At 5, Georgia, 6, Oregon. At 7, Florida State. I love to see this team moving up. I really do. Big fan of what Tommy Castellanos has been doing for the Seminoles. At 8, Texas, Illinois. At 9, 10 is Texas A&M, Oklahoma at 11, followed by Ohio State at 12 and Ole Miss at 13. Alabama at 14, Tennessee at 15, Utah at 16, Texas Tech 17, 18th ranked Georgia Tech, who got a big win over Clemson. I mentioned that earlier. Indiana is 19, Vanderbilt is 20, 21 Michigan, 22 Auburn, 23 Missouri, and to close it out, 24 Notre Dame and the USC Trojans at 25. Here, this is what I believe hot take coming in, but Notre Dame should not be in the top 25. They're 0-2 after losing to Miami and Texas A&M. UConn has a better record than them, and they're in the FBS Independent. And I'm tired of the AP poll kissing up to Notre Dame. Another problem I have with the AP poll is USF beat Boise State and Florida, but lose to Miami, and they're completely out of the top 25. However, Alabama gets smoked week 1 by FSU, beats ULM and Wisconsin, and they keep moving Alabama up. I mean, this is what's the issue with the AP poll is these big favorites to these big time schools that bring in that revenue. But when they lose, they still keep them in there. So that's why I'm really upset with the AP poll this week with how Notre Dame and Alabama are still in there after losing some games these last few weeks. So this is my new segment, Hathaway's Yay or Nays, where I give you some players on who you should start and sit on your upcoming fantasy matchup. My yays for this week is Rashid Shaheed. He's caught 4 or more passes in each of his games. Tucker Kraft. He led the Packers in receiving yards and catches versus the Commanders. My nays for this week, Aaron Jones. I mentioned this earlier. The Vikings offense is struggling, and Jones has a hamstring injury, which put him on the IR. Chase Brown as another nay for me, 16 catches for 47 yards, averaging 2.9 yards per catch this season. So those are my yays or nays on who you should start or sit on your fantasy team for this week. Lastly, Hathaway's hot hands. Last week I went 14 and 6 with my picks. For Thursday night football, give me the Bills over the Dolphins. On Sunday, I have the Patriots over the Steelers, Vikings beating the Bengals, Falcons beating the Panthers, Eagles over Rams, Bucks beating the Jets, Commanders beating the Raiders, Packers over the Browns, Chargers beat the Broncos, Seahawks beat the Saints, 49ers I have them winning over Arizona. And this is a hot take right here. Is the Bears I have them beating the Cowboys this week. I think this might be a great game for the Bears and for Caleb. I hope to see this happen because that's like one of my hot takes right there. The Chiefs beat the Giants on Sunday Night Football. They get their first win of the season. I think that's an easy win there for them. And then lastly, the Ravens beat the Lions on Monday Night Football. My touchdown scorers for the week, I have Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Tyler Warren, and Bill Crawley Merritt. Those odds are plus 1519 per DraftKings. So far, I am 26 and 13 on my picks this year. Well, that's going to wrap things up here on Halfway with Hathaway. Remember, it's half the noise, all the sports, done the Hathaway. I will catch you all next week.